Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire, in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. And shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Got an article for y'all, basically showing how this migrant crisis is by design. Got this article by the WEF. 1,700 years ago, the mismanagement of a migrant crisis cost Rome its empire. By Annalisa Morelli, and it's from 2016. On August, she's a senior reporter at Quartz. It's featured on the WEF site. On August 378, a battle was fought in Adrianople, which was then Thrace and now the province of Erdene in Turkey. It was a battle that St. Ambrose referred to as the end of all humanity, the end of the world. The Eastern Roman Emperor Flavius Julius Valens Augustus, simply known as Valens, and nicknamed Ultimus Romanorum, Romanorum, the last true Roman, led his troops against the Goths, a Germanic people that Romans considered barbarians, quote-unquote, commanded by Fritz Jern. Valens, who had not waited for the military help of his new nephew, Western Roman Emperor Gratian, got into the battle with 440,000 soldiers. Fritz Jern could count on 100,000. Fuck.
Good morning. The time is 9.
Slack you for that. It was a massacre. 30,000 Roman soldiers died and the empire was defeated. It was the first of many to come, and it's considered as the beginning of the end of the Western Roman Empire in 476. At the time of the battle, Rome ruled a territory of nearly 600 million hectares, 23 million square miles, 2.3 million square miles. Slovakia, nearly 2/3 the area of the present-day U.S., with a population of over 55 million. Wonder why they compared it to the U.S. You know, these motherfuckers know. These devils know. But anyways, the defeat of Adrianople didn't happen because of Valens' stubborn thirst for power, or because he grossly underestimated his adversary's belligerence. Was arguably the most important defeat in the history of the Roman Empire had roots in something else, a refugee crisis. 2 years earlier, the Goths had descended towards Roman territory looking for shelter. The mismanagement of Goth refugees started a chain of events that led to the collapse of one of the biggest political and military powers humankind has ever known. It's a story shockingly similar to what's happening in Europe right now, and it should serve as a cautionary tale. According to historian Ammianus Marcellinus, in 376, the Goths were forced to leave their territories in what's now Eastern Europe, pushed south by the Huns. In Marcellinus' words, a race savage beyond all parallel. The Huns, Marcellinus writes, descended like a whirlwind from the lofty mountains as if they had risen from some secret recess of the earth, and were ravaging and destroying everything which came in their way. quote unquote. It resulted in terrifying bloodshed, and many of the Goths, like many Syrians and others displaced by war, decided to flee. They decided that settling in Thrace, right across the Danube River, was the best solution. The land was fertile, and the river would provide defense to keep the Huns at bay. Now, it wasn't free land, it was in the Roman Empire under the rule of Valens. And so, Fritigern, who was leading the Goths, asked to be received by him as his subjects, promising to live quietly and to furnish a body of auxiliary troops if any necessities for such a force should arise. "Quote unquote, Rome had a lot to gain from this. These lands needed cultivating, and more soldiers were always welcomed by the empire. By combining the strength of his own people with these foreign forces, Marcellinus writes of Valens, he would have an army absolutely invincible." "Quote unquote, as a sign of gratitude to Valens, Fritigern converted to Christianity. It all started rather peacefully. The Romans put in place a service not that different from a modern search and rescue program. "Quote unquote, not one was left behind," Marcellinus writes, not even of those who were stricken with mortal disease, "quote unquote. The Goths, "quote unquote, crossed the stream day and night without ceasing, embarking in troops on board ships and rafts and canoes made of the hollow trunks of trees." Marcellinus recounts that a great many were drowned, who, because they were too numerous for the vessels, tried to swim across, and in spite of their exertions were swept away by the stream. It was an unexpected, unprecedented flow. Some estimates say up to 200,000 people. Officials in charge of managing the Goths tried to calculate their numbers, "quote unquote, but they determined it was hopeless. Traditionally, the Roman attitude towards barbarians, "quote unquote, although autocratic, had been pretty long-sighted. Populations were often sent where the empire needed them the most, with little regard to where they wished to stay. However, there was a strong push towards assimilation that eventually turned foreigners into citizens. Descendants of immigrants would routinely be seen in the high ranks of the military or the administration. The recipe that kept the empire safe from attack from other populations was simple: allow them to the empire and make them Roman. Does this sound familiar to y'all? But things eventually changed. The military officials who were in charge of provisions for the Goths, an ancient version of the support offered to migrants arriving in Greece or Italy, were corrupt and profited off of what was meant for the refugees. The starving Goths were forced to buy dog meat from the Romans. Marcellinus had no doubt. Their treacherous covetousness was the cause of all our Romans' disasters. "Quote unquote, the trust between the abused Goths and the Romans was broken several times before Adrianople, and the Goths went from wanting to become Roman to wanting to destroy Rome. Less than 2 years later, Marcellinus writes, "quote unquote, with rage flashing in their eyes, the barbarians pursued our men, and they took down the empire," "quote unquote. The migrants trying to get in Europe right now are not about to rise up in Europe. And Europe is not, well, it's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Europe is the Roman Empire. America and Europe. America and the NATO/EU countries, to be specific. That is the revived Roman Empire. But we know Esau is going to be Esau. They're going to lie, right? They know it's the Roman Empire. The revived Roman Empire. But this story shows well that migration is always and will always be a part of our world. There are two ways to deal with refugees. One is to promote dialogue and inclusion. The other is to be unwelcoming and uncaring. The second has led to disaster before in one way, and another is sure to do so again. And that reminds me of this right here. Um, Slack it. Let me. View all. There you go. There was a video about how they got these people, they got these migrants living in either in camps or living in fucking well, they're building camps for them, but they're living in fucking what you call it, living in fucking living homeless and shit. Gotta living homeless and shit. And they shipping them, you know, they having them. Well, they live. A lot of them is living homeless and shit. But you got the migrants that want to come here for the like, because they think Babylon still has opportunities, and they go into these certain cities, and then you have these migrants that are coming from China, coming from India, coming from West Africa, you know. There's a lot of, other than Mexican migrants, and a lot of them are heathens, even though some could be Jake, especially the West Africans. And some of those, you know, they're sleeper cells, man. They're sent here and they're being allowed to come here for a certain purpose, to cause chaos. But some of them are actually coming here for a purpose. They're coming here, especially the, you know, the Northern Kingdom ones. Some of them, you know, a lot of them are coming here for the so-called benefits that this place has, which they're going to be severely disappointed because there's a supply chain crisis. They're closing down the those railroads from Mexico leading into the U.S. They say because of the migrants getting on the trains and shit. And really, and these migrants, they're gonna get tired of being homeless out there on the streets, you know, or being, being homeless out there on them streets. Like the video said, I gotta find it. I gotta find it. Your wife. I'm trying to find it. But shit. I'll just describe it to y'all. Basically, that's what the caption on that TikTok video was. It's a TikTok video, but a brother posted it to YouTube, and it basically said, "Hide your kids, hide your wife." And basically, they're gonna be tired of being out there homeless, no food, or very little food. You know, working for cheap. If working at all, working for cheap. Yeah, man. No woman. And basically, yeah, man, it's gonna lead to some shit. And which is gonna lead to what? Oral ab kale. Gonna lead to oral ab kale. And they're gonna use it to declare martial law. They haven't already. Well, I heard. Well, they're gonna use it to declare it nationwide. You know. Operation Cable Splice. Operation Cable Splicer is a sub-program of the Rec City 4 program, which was established on the reasoning that if a mass exodus of illegal aliens, so-called, crossed the Mexican-U.S. border, they'd be quickly rounded up and detained in detention centers by FEMA. Rec City 4 allowed many military bases to be closed down and to be turned into prisons. Operation Cable Splicer is a program for an orderly takeover of the state and local governments by the federal government. FEMA is the executive arm of the coming police state and thus will head up all operations. The presidential executive orders already listed on the Federal Register are also part of the legal framework for this investigation, for this operation. They may say it may lead to some shit, may have some well, it's gonna lead to some shit, but they may say these migrants, they have the 84 edition. They're spreading it. We gotta round them up. We gotta round them up. I mean, gotta lock down. We gotta go into another lockdown because the migrants spread it. This may be the way that they increase that they bring the what you call it, man, that they bring the lockdowns, you know, this may be a way. Or, you know, you have counter protests to the migrants moving into these areas, as well as basically as well as them being treated like complete they being treated like shit. Basically, they're homeless out there. They're shipped there and they don't have no job. And yeah, Biden's working on a job program, but it's probably gonna be for cheap labor, and you still have Babylonians that's gonna be like, these migrants are taking our jobs and shit. And there's gonna be resentment built up on both sides, and I could see some shit, you know, happening from that. Them using it to implement Operation Cable Splicer. You know, them using it to justify Operation Cable Splicer. You know, which is part of the Rec City 4 program. And they would use that to also round up the men of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. You know, we not ignorant of Satan's devices. Second Corinthians 2 verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we not ignorant of his devices. This devil weaponizes everything. And that's also how the fall of Rome is going to be blamed on Jake, both northern and southern kingdom. The fall of New Rome, which is America, and the NATO/EU countries, the 10 toes. Ecclesiastes 5 and 15. Be not ignorant of anything, and the great matter is small. These devils are fucking desperate. They are desperate to bring the New World Order. They're desperate. They're desperate to bring the New World Order, and they'll do anything. You know, they caused these, they destroyed the homes of these migrants in the first place, got them catching all types of hell via, via the Economic Hitman. There you go. Look that book up. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Where these devils basically destroyed their homeland. That also causes a refugee crisis. So they destroyed their homeland with wars and shit. There's been a civil war in Venezuela that destroyed the economy and sanctions that was placed on Venezuela. And these other countries are suffering from U.S. economic policies. So they set the framework. First they set the framework. Then they decide to heap those people to themselves as well. Let me get that. To gather them here in Babylon. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is his death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, you know. And you got all types of nations coming through the border. It ain't just Jake, it ain't just Northern Kingdom. But who do you see on the news? The Northern Kingdom. Guess who they gonna fucking blame? They gonna blame the Northern Kingdom for what these sleeper cells are gonna do, and what maybe some of these, you know, migrants that they fed up with their situation, they gonna do. And then you know how people is, the whole Northern Kingdom is going to be blamed. Look, we let them in, and this is what they do. We need a new, we need to round these people up, and we need a new program to make sure that we know who's who, so no sleeper cells get in through the border. We need to chip everybody. We need to chip everybody. To C-hip everybody. You know, with that grain of rice. And then you give everybody the grain of rice. That way we know who's who. You know, all roads lead to the Karagma, man. And they're going to make that a requirement. So Revelations 13:16 and 18. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand and in their foreheads. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You know, you can buy that chip and make transactions with it. That's C it. Slack it, that's C it. You can make transactions with it. And it's best positioned in the right hand or in the forehead, in the head. You know, the brain, C-hip, which Elon Musk has been working on, that Neuralink. And he's going to test it on humans now. Now humans are available for test. Now humans are available for testing. Now it's available for human testing, and Elon Musk is looking for patients. But yeah, they want to put a C hip in you, and they're engineering a crisis in order to justify putting that C hip in you, rolling out them camps, you know, and putting that C hip in you. We need to know who everybody is. We need to know who everybody is. See, they purposely create these crises. And then they're going to blame Jake, of course, the Northern Kingdom especially, and but Jake, you know, they look at all of us the same. And they're going to use it as a justification to roll out them FEMA camps and roll out that C-hip, man. But Esau, now you may think that this is a good plan, but you know, the C-hip, everybody using that, but you ain't gonna get the elect, and the elect is you ain't gonna get the elect, and these other nations, they're gonna rise up against you devils, man, wanting a piece of the pie, wanting to run it instead of you devils. So with that, you know, it's like you. Yeah. Let me get that. Job 5:12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Verse 13, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. Verse 14, they meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. Meaning secret to devise these plans. Verse 15, but he saveth the poor from the sword, from the mouth, and from the hand of the iniquity. And that's ultimately us. Verse 16, so that the poor have hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. Verse 17, behold, happy is the man whom the Most High Power Yahweh correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. Verse 18, for he maketh sore and bindeth up, he woundeth in his hands make whole. Verse 19, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yet in 7 a complete amount shall no evil touch thee. Verse 20, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Verse 21, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. Verse 22, at destruction, scourge of the tongue, man, these decrees, man. These are righteous decrees. Verse 21, verse 22, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. So the Most High Yahweh got his elect, no matter what you devils do. Verse 23, for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. Verse 24, and thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin. There you go, man. So, you ain't gonna get trapped with his life, by causing the fall of your own empire to introduce another one, that's gonna fail. He disappoints the devices of the crafty. The fuck? Sure to knock at the door. All types of weird shit be happening. I don't know if y'all heard it or not though. Could be just Satan fucking with me. But yeah, anyways, Most High Yahweh will deliver his elect. He's going to fulfill your plans in the fullness of your sufficiency. He shall be in straits. Every hand of the worker, the wicked, which the word there is for worker, shall come upon him. Verse 23, when he is about to fill his belly, Most High Power Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Verse 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow still shall strike him through. Because of that nuclear war, man. World War III gonna pop off. They're gonna go nuclear. It's actually gonna go nuclear. As soon as that C-hip is pushed, it's gonna go nuclear. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. Verse 34. Verse 24. Salakia. Verse 25. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yet a glittering sword cometh out of his goal. Terrors are upon him. Verse 26, all darkness shall be hidden in secret places of fire, and not blown shall consume them. Yep. The links in the chariot fire, the concentrated fire beams, concentrated heat beams from the chariots. It shall go ill with them that is left in his tabernacle. Verse 27, the heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. And how is the heaven revealing his iniquity? Through the prophets, which are posted videos like this online and on the highways and byways. And the earth shall rise up against them. So, the rest of the world, as well as the earth, literally the earth, shall rise up against them, like the animals and shit. So-called, what the world calls Mother Nature, really Father Nature, shall rise up against them. Verse 28, the increase of his house, because the Most High Yahweh doing it. Verse 28, the increase of his house shall depart, and his good shall flow away in the day of his wrath. Verse 29, this is a portion of a wicked man from the Most High Power Yahweh, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High Power Yahweh. By the Most High Power Yahweh. And the meaning of it shall go ill with them that is left in his tabernacle. They're going to be slaves. And all that shit that he stole from everybody, which all belong to us, or these devils stole from us, it's going to be returned to us. Everything that they stole. So with that, I hope this video was edifying. Also the elect will get spiritual powers. Let me get that. Hold on. Isaiah 59:19. Hey, that's the spirit. Landed right on there. So shall they fear the name, well, could be the algorithm, but ultimately it's Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, wanted me to bring it out. Verse 19, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai shall lift up a standard against them. Verse 20, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. There you go. As well as, hold on. House of David. Kidding me. You're kidding me. Let me do this. There you go. That's all I had to do was show me that verse. Zechariah 12:8. In that day shall Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as powers, as the angel of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai before him, because the word there for God is Alahayim. The word there is Alahayim. Let's say Elohim, but it's really Alahayim. as an angel of Yahweh Shemi Shai before them. But with that, I hope this shit. I hope this video is edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. And shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Abba Ball, death to Babylon. Abala Adawamium, death to these Edomites. Abala Gawayim, death to these other nations. Abala Ayabim Nawa, death to the rest of our enemies. The rest of our enemies are 2/3 of you so-called black people, Latinos, Native Americans, and Israelite foreigners / speckled birds here in the States, here in Babylon, in North America, in the U.S., right? You know what I'm saying? That's Babylon the Great. And as well as it also includes you wicked Israelites scattered to the four corners of the earth. Shalom, stay strong, Abba Ball, and Yasharallah forever.